push record and it's working.
Yay.
Yeah, well, I'm back today for I'm Rosemary Guttormsson. I guess most of you know who I am. I'm back today for a little demo on underpaintings is what I call them. There's probably other names. I learned this technique years ago when I started painting. And one of the people I learned it from is Carolyn Holman. And if you have this book, it explains a little bit about it. And it's a nice way to start a painting, especially for a landscape or painting plein air and even flower paintings. It's probably not the best thing for portraits, but it's a nice way you can say, for example, if you're going plein air painting, you can do the wash, the underpainting before the night before, let it dry, pack it up and take it to wherever you want to go. And I'll show you some examples of that. This is my favorite painting of all time. And this was painted on location in France. And I had the paper, it's about a half sheet, maybe a little smaller. And I had the paper all prepared to do a cave painting in France. So I had these blues and umbers and colors like that. And this was about the second or third location that day. And we were in a meadow and the light was just right. And so I sat down and painted this there's a few pencil lines, but not very many. So it's kind of like my favorite painting of all time. Mm-hmm. And this bear was done with an underpainting, different colors, but you can see that in the sky area and down in the grass area. So it's say in an instance like this, you know, if you painted the bear, gee, what do I do with the background? It saves you some of those choices about putting in background. And this was another on location where I threw in some colors, let it dry, and then probably did the ink next, and then filled in with more watercolor. And here's this is an oldie but goodie. It really makes nice underwater scenes. This again was an underpainting. And then I did the drawing on top. So those are examples of some of the things you can do with this technique. All right. Any questions so far?
Yes. Does it have to be only watercolors? Can we do this with acrylics?
You know, I am not, you probably have more acrylic experience than I do. You'd have to have very diluted acrylics.
Yeah. Like with you use a medium and get it really diluted.
Yeah, I have not. It would be like a wash that you're going to do, you know, acrylic wash.
Okay.
And I'm not that experienced yet in acrylics. So like I said, you could do it probably better than I could.
I'll experiment, let you know.
Try it. Any other questions? And a couple weeks ago, I talked about this other book, and I think some of you ordered it, about triads. And there are a couple in this book, and we talked about them then, and we can talk about it later. But I have three favorites that I'm going to share with you. So now you could cut to the iPad and do screen share on that one or whatever. Highlight.
Yep, spotlight on.
Spotlight that one.
Rosemary, what was the other book that you showed?
Art Escapes by Dory Cantor.
Yep, I have that one.
Yeah.
And what was the first one?
Oh, that's Carolyn Holman's. She was an
Okay,
instructor over in Washburn. And I think this
Yes.
is your very first book, Watercolor Fun and Free.
okay,
And she probably talks about them in this technique in all of them, maybe. So
okay, thank you.
I put on, okay, so now we can go to the other view.
Okay, I'll do it now.
Yeah.
You're on, Rosemary.
I don't see it on the big screen.
It is on mine.
Oh,
It is on mine, yep.
okay. I don't see it on mine though.
Hmm.
Why is that? Oh, well. Oh, I've got to do that. All right, maybe I have to do this. Okay, just so you can see it.
Mhm.
I wonder if there's something I have to do here.
Click on,
Now it's up. Now it's up.
okay.
Okay. I put on the Facebook page the examples. This is a got to figure out where I am here. Full spectrum triad. And I use cad yellow light, cadmium red, medium, ultramarine blue deep. Then there's another one, my favorite for doing fall and all things European. I call it a kind of a European triad with raw sienna, Q burnt scarlet, and cerulean blue.
What was the second one? Hue what?
Quinacridone, or Q burnt scarlet.
And then the third one?
The third one was cerulean blue.
Cerulean.
I'll talk about these again. And this is from the book, A Sun Triad. This one is kind of daring because you're using, I use cobalt turquoise, which is kind of a phthalo blue. So it gets kind of staining. I used magenta and then cadmium orange. So that one's kind of an advanced degree one. Okay, well, I'm gonna demo with, this usually. Sorry.
It's okay if your dog barks.
Really
Um,
go-
Also, Rosemary, could you post those on our Facebook page when we're done? I mean, at some point later.
Oh, I did, I already put them on, the example.
I saw the images. Did you list the names of the color?
No, but I can do that. Okay,
Thank
I'm
you.
wetting both sides of the paper.
Oh,
May I ask a quick question? I'm seeing this all sideways. Is there something I can do to fix that or?
Oh, that's my camera.
Okay,
I could go, let me try this.
sorry.
All right, I'm gonna stand on my head. There, is that better? There. Now I'm sideways and you're straight. But that's better. And meanwhile, I got too wet. Could you please go in the other room? Anyway, I've wet it down, so it's just nice and wet, not sopping. And then I'm going to do the first example. Go. This is interesting, real professional here, isn't it? We're gonna take the ultramarine blue. And I'm just going to activate all my colors because I haven't painted today yet. And I'm spraying my palette with my spray bottle. And I'll show you. So I'm just, moistening them all up. Then I'm taking kind of since this is only a quarter sheet, you can use I use a flat brush. And then you take some paint and you start spreading it around. And this is already dry because I'm in my studio and it's so dry in here. So if it dries too much, just put more water. But it's better to get the water on first, otherwise you'll have, even if you have interesting glops, it's okay. And I'm even going to use a bigger brush here because of the drying. But I have electric heating here and my plants do well. You see what I'm doing? You can just splash, splash, splash. Okay, we've got the blue one. Now we're going to go to the CAD red medium. And we're going to make an inner circle. Now you don't want this to look like a bullseye. You know, so go back and forth. And then when you got that done, you can come in with your yellow in the center. And you can spread it around. You can leave, if you're doing flowers, you might want to leave some areas. You can also spray it and let it run. And tilt your board and spray it some more. You can see it glisten, can't you?
Mm-hmm.
Do you always do dark to light?
Yeah.
Huh.
But
And you always work in that circular fashion.
Blue has kind of faded, so I'm coming back in with more blue.
Why do you put the blue on the outer edge?
Just because if you're doing a sky or a floral, that's where the blue is, you know? And it runs into the red and makes purple. And if you don't want a lot of green, you don't want it next to the yellow.
Oh, sure.
Yeah, so anyway, I've got kind of some white here that I think are too defined. So you can take a Kleenex. Say if I thought, oh, I maybe will put some flowers in this. Ooh, I didn't clean off my brush, so I made gray. But we can fix that. We'll just put some more red in. And remember, this is going to dry a lot lighter when all is said and done. So just kind of have fun. Because I started in the blue is a little too dry. So I'm going back now, cleaning my brush. And you can see how the colors are mingling.
Oh, yeah.
I'm not seeing very much of that.
There, how's that?
Okay. Better.
I had to hold it up because I was moving it.
Oh,
So I've been tipping my board to let things run. And you can use, like, I think this needs a little more yellow. So I'm just dropping in some yellow. And then you can take your sprayer and push it around and tilt it. And move it around.
Do you put an underpainting on every painting?
No. No, just on, I do it a lot with landscapes. And it's nice if you're gonna do an abstract floral. You could do it like with birch trees, you'd have to mask them, draw them in and then mask them. You could do it with pretty much anything. So I'm kind of, I got this blob of red over here, so I'm gonna kind of play around with that and let it run. As I said, this looks very colorful, but it's gonna dry. You can just see how I'm spraying that edge. This is messy, but fun. You can spray and let things run around. Like if you don't like a corner, I don't like what's happening here. You just spray it. Or it's too defined here. I spray it, you know. So you get a lot of interesting effects. So I think this would make a nice floral underpainting.
Yeah.
Okay, so that was using ultramarine blue, cadmium red medium, and cadmium yellow light. And it's kind of a full spectrum triad. I had my color wheel here, but in shushing the dog, it's disappeared.
Oh dear.
I'll find it. But it's, you know, if you have your triad, red, yellow, blue. I'll show you on my palette here if I can get it all in. Okay, here's the yellow I used. And over here is the red. Oops, red, right there. Red, yellow, and across here is the blue. So it makes a triangle. So, okay, we'll put this to dry. And of course you can draw on these when they're dry. Or you can draw lightly before. I always start them, I never have any idea what I'm painting. I just like to have a couple on hand. Like I said. Okay. I'll clean up here a little bit. Change the water. And we'll go on to the next one, which is the European triad. So I'm going to get a really big brush. This is a 2-inch brush. And clean water. And again, I'm going to, I wet both sides of the paper because I'm not taping it down. And you could do this and tape it down and just do one side. So, but if you have both sides wet, it stays flat while you're painting. And then if you want to tape the dried version to a board, you can do that when you're doing the rest of the painting. Okay, I'm going to clean up my messy palette a little bit. And this time, I'm going to use raw sienna for the yellow. My burnt scarlet was going to be my red. That's right here. And it's kind of a nice juicy red. And here's my raw sienna. That's going to be my yellow. So this is kind of a muted. And then I'm going to use my cerulean blue. And cerulean blues vary with the amount of pigment. And so I like Holbein.
Oh, that's good to know.
Yeah, everybody has their favorite. But Joyce Gow used Holbein and I liked it. You do get some of the pigments. So there's my triad right there. So we'll see what kind of effects we get with this one. So again, I dried out when I'm talking. Okay. Bigger brush. Cerulean blue. I love this blue. Yeah, this is a lot better because that other blue, when I put the first one on, it was too dry. I wasn't getting the movement of the paint. What you want to do is, even though it's very wet, you want to put a fair amount of pigment on it so it moves around. I mean, this is what I like about watercolor. It paints itself. That was my whole problem when I started painting acrylics. It kind of just laid there. All right, here comes the red. So you can kind of do your own thing. I mean, you can go around in a circle.
Goodness.
You just don't want to be left with that definite defined bullseye right here like that. So I kind of use a lot of yellow to drop in. But while it's still wet, you can go back, as long as you clean your brush a little bit, you can go back in and add more blue too. And
Can I ask what brand your yellow ochre, or not yellow ochre, what was it?
raw sienna.
Raw sienna is?
Yeah, there's some really yellow, ugly yellow ochres. This is also a Holbein.
Okay. Yeah, I've had a hard time finding one that I really like.
Yeah, this is a Holbein. Because I bought a Quiller and I don't like it. It kind of reminds me of that one we were putting in the palettes yesterday.
Oh, yeah, that was awful.
Baby poop texture.
Baby poop, yep.
Okay. Can you see that I'm moving and tilting?
Mhm.
And then you can also do the old tissue, drop in a tissue. You can blot up some of the water around the sides. Like I said, I stand up, so I kind of turn it around and kind of just make sure that, this isn't, if you want to leave a lot of white in your painting, this is not the technique for you. Like I said, you could do a portrait on it, but it would be kind of, not a realistic. You could, I suppose if you had it lightly drawn in, you could do the background. Well, what do you think it needs? More red, yellow, or blue?
Oh,
Yep, some blue.
A little more blue. Ooh.
Freckles.
Yeah. So I'm going to be painting on top of this, so you don't have to get too concerned. So that's example number 2. I got some brush hair there. And if I don't like some of these too many dots, I can diminish them with a Kleenex. I usually end up with a whole pile of Kleenex around. Okay. So now the next one is going to be very dramatic, and I'm not going to guarantee anything what it looks like when it's done. You know, I'm gonna just take this whole board out. And bring in a new board. And I got fresh water. And I'm having an avalanche of art supplies. But I found my Quiller palette. There we go.
Okay.
So what I used was a raw sienna, more of a red closer here, and then the cerulean blue is over there. So it's still kind of a triad, but not as distinct as this big one. Now I'm going to do a triad that's more like this big one. A orange, a green, and a purple. So this could drive you crazy. But I have used it when I want to do something kind of deep in the woods, you know, bare. You could do it in a, you know, it could be a meadow or woods, water, depending on what kind of feeling you want to evoke. So this is the, you know, for those of us that like to be loosey-goosey. Okay, more paper towel. Again, wet paper on both sides. And we're going to go with the really bright one. Now this is a very rich color. It's called, mine's called Richardson turquoise. Isn't that pretty?
Wow.
oh,
Yeah.
that is.
And then magenta.
Ah,
Then cadmium orange. Whoops. How's that?
I like that.
Somehow I knew you would, Cindy.
That does
I'm not responsible for this one. I haven't used this one in a long time. Okay, here comes the blue, the phthalo. It's very,
woo.
can be very toxic. No, to your painting. I would not recommend beginners using. A phthalo is a scary color.
Oh, it is not.
I had my moments when I was starting out with it. A phthalo green that went viral on me. Okay. Oops, wrong color. Magenta. There we go.
Mm,
I like that. Ooh, that's gonna be fun.
I do too.
I've done lots of underpaintings, but I've never done secondary colors. I've always done just the primaries. This is interesting to see.
Yeah, thank you for throwing that word in there. Secondary. You can make up, you know, as long as they complement and make a, you know, if they make, you know, a gray, when you mix them all together, if they make a pretty gray instead of a yucky brown, you can use probably anything on the color wheel that works, you know, that's kind of across from each other.
Okay.
Okay, got kind of, my magenta has made kind of a circle, hasn't it?
What's that last one? What's that orange?
Cadmium orange, but I use it as a yellow.
Okay.
It's a warmer yellow than the cadmium yellow.
Okay.
So I use it to warm things up when I want a warm green. Okay. All right.
I love it.
See how it's moving? Yeah, you should at least try it with one color that moves. The phthalo does not move that well because it likes to just take over the spot it's in. But I just put some in here and I'm gonna try and get it to move. Okay, we're spraying. Ooh, there it goes. See it?
Love it. I love it.
I mean, some of you guys are gonna like this better than us, and this is not for everyone. Okay. And then,
Not for the faint of heart.
no, and then
Sarah backs off from the camera. See, it's abstract in watercolors. I love it.
yeah, and I think I'm gonna leave this one as it is.
Yeah, I would. That's gorgeous.
About the blue, I just think it gives it a nice edge to have the, you know, if you're gonna do a sky or a water or grass in the foreground, it's nice to have the blue there. And don't worry if you get some hard edges, you can always make those disappear later.
That's beautiful.
Yay! Okay, then we'll go back, and that's pretty much it. I'll see if the first one's dry. Oh, no, it's still pretty limp.
Hmm.
So what I used to do is, you know, do these the night before,
Okay.
put them out, about 3 or 4 of them. I don't know which way you want to look at it. I just realized I was splattering. I have splatters all over my iPad screen. That's why I hate watercolor. But you know, when it's dry, you can turn it around. Maybe I'll paint some fish on this. This kind of gives me that underwater feel.
Yeah.
Or, you know, whatever you know, I've done, like I said, landscapes and animals and all kinds of things.
You know, we see so many different colors in the sky here on the prairie. It reminds me of some of the prairie skies I see.
Yeah. I just was trying to clean so, okay, I just disappeared for some reason. Okay, there. I was trying to clean the screen off. And here's the other one, the middle one. So that'll be nice too.
Yeah,
So I'll show them next week when they're dry. How's that?
that'd be good.
And
like
maybe I'll get a painting started on one of them. So you can turn the iPad camera off. And,
Okay, we're on your other camera.
okay, and I'm gonna find my chair. Like I said, I was kind of cramped here. It needs, especially if I did a quarter sheet, but if you're doing a half sheet or a full sheet, you need room. And I was wetting the using the 2-inch brush to wet my paper, but I was also dropping in color with this because I was trying the smaller, the 1.5, and it wasn't enough. Because I haven't done this in a while. It was fun. And then I used my double-ended brush to kind of.
Oh, that's cool.
That is a Judy Betts brush.
That's neat. I like that.
Yeah, you can, you got to get used to, you just like when you're painting, you get it on your toes, so you get used to it. So, and do you have any questions? You
I
can.
loved it. I loved it. I've got to go, guys. I have to go, but I didn't want to miss this. So
Okay,
bye-bye.
you go try it with some acrylics.
I will. We'll see what comes out. Bye-bye.
Do you, are those the 3 triads you usually use, or do you? Mess around
Yeah,
with
I
trying
use
others?
mainly that full spectrum and the what I call European, but I do use that last one with the magenta occasionally.
I like that a lot. I tried it on a little scratch piece of paper.
Yeah,
I like it. Yeah.
and not not everything. I do small those. My line drawings and other things that I don't use this. But if I'm going to paint on location, like a house or a park or somewhere, these are nice to have. You can do any size and just stick it in your sketchbook, because once you get there, and if it's a humid day, you can't do it when you're there because it would take forever to dry.
I think that's a brilliant idea. That's
Yeah.
just wonderful. That's really great.
Seems like also Carlin had done like a cruciform
Yeah,
for back painting, is for a wash. So
yeah.
you would use it seems like that's how she started a couple of the ones that I had followed along with on her videos. And it just gave a different, and they were floral, but it did give a different, just painting over than that wash gave your flowers
You
a
can see that.
different texture.
That's
Yes.
a Carlin.
Yeah.
And that's called Painting Where the Sun Don't Shine. And it is practically all underpainting with a few. Then she went in with the pen and then
Okay.
colors.
Is that hers? One of hers or yours?
No, that's
That's-
hers.
Oh, okay.
After,
Yeah.
I bought that after she died. But all the ones behind me on the wall here were done. Trying not to trip and injure anybody. That was done on location with an underpainting. And so was the Venice. And so was the Acropolis.
Nice.
So it's just something for your bag of tricks. So I think I'll stop recording.